Thank you for following this storyline. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this content so you won't miss updates on other exciting comic storylines. Zhang Yi reassured himself that even though the initial missile attack might not destroy the base, it would create massive panic. With half a ton of explosives that he had managed to steal from enemy soldiers, he planned to bring down the base from within. He felt that if he could eliminate the enemies inside, that would be enough for him. After solidifying his resolve, Zhang Yi returned to the room and asked Shinsen to show him all the information she had gathered about the base's defenses. He wanted to know everything about his opponents, including the strength of the mutants stationed there. If there was even the slightest weakness, Zhang Yi believed it was an opportunity worth taking. However, he also emphasized the importance of assessing their own strength first. If the power gap was too great, then the plan would not be viable. The genius girl then compiled all the necessary information, including the total number of troops stationed at Zishan base, 521 regular armed soldiers, 6 team leaders who were mutants, and around 50 other mutant soldiers. Additionally, there was a primary leader named Feng, whom Zhang Yi had previously defeated, and who held an S rank rating. The other mutants were mostly A rank or lower, except for one individual with a B rank. Zhang Yi was not too concerned. He knew that mutant rankings were not always accurate, and significant changes could occur in the future. With all the data on the strongest mutants in the base, Zhang Yi printed the report. Following Ken's suggestion, he reassured himself that his allies were capable of handling their adversaries. Once all the information was gathered, Zhang Yi summoned everyone to the living room. Standing before them, he explained that he needed their help to attack Zishan base and wanted to hear their thoughts on the plan. After that, he turned to Uncle Yu, the oldest member of their group, who had a military background. Zhang Yi asked for his opinion. Uncle Yu stated that considering the heavy losses Qinyuan's base had suffered in their last attack against them, it was unlikely that they would simply make peace or leave Zhang Yi alone. He agreed with Zhang Yi's stance that attacking Zishan base was the right move rather than just waiting for the enemy's next assault. Uncle Yu firmly declared that he was ready to fight alongside Zhang Yi until the very end, without regret. Zhang Yi then turned to Chunlei and asked for his opinion on the attack. Chunlei hesitated, wondering if they were truly capable of facing so many mutants and armed soldiers. Zhang Yi sat down and reassured him, saying there was no need to worry about that. Even if they were outnumbered, Zhang Yi himself would handle all the regular soldiers and weaker mutants. He then asked if Chunlei doubted his ability to defeat all the enemies at once and whether Chunlei had no desire to take revenge for the villagers who had been taken to the base. With an awkward expression, Chunlei replied that he didn't care about those people, he didn't even know them, so he had no reason to join the attack. His uncertain response made Zhang Yi feel that Chunlei might not be the most cautious person in the group. However, after some thought, Chunlei finally said that he would help in any way he could. If it was for Zhang Yi, he was willing to risk everything. Zhang Yi smiled at his response and felt satisfied. The three of them finally agreed to work together. Chunlei then asked about the details of their operation. Zhang Yi pulled out a board displaying information about the key mutants they would face. Uncle Yu pointed to one of the mutants he considered a suitable opponent for himself. After that, Zhang Yi asked Shinsen to take them to see the military bases map. As the three of them left the room, Zhang Yi took out his phone and sent a message to Lien, instructing him to hide in a safe place until noon the next day. He informed Lien that they would be evacuating the area and might need his help from inside the base if necessary. Lien responded, agreeing to hide and offering his assistance in any way possible as long as Zhang Yi provided him with more information. Zhang Yi explained that, for now, he couldn't give too many details since the plan wasn't fully developed yet, but he would keep Lien updated as things progressed. A few moments later, Shinsen successfully altered the missile's target coordinates. She informed Zhang Yi that the missiles were now scheduled to strike Zishan base at noon. Zhang Yi thanked Shinsen for her excellent work and started feeling the tension of the impending battle. Not long after, Karen arrived and informed Zhang Yi that although the missiles wouldn't completely destroy the base, they would generate powerful shockwaves capable of affecting everyone inside, similar to an earthquake with a magnitude of 8. Zhang Yi explained that when the shockwave hit, Shinsen would cut off the base's power supply. Since all their defense systems relied on electricity, this would make the invasion much easier. Shinsen added that the power outage would only be temporary, as the base likely had a manual way to restore power. However, Zhang Yi didn't see this as a major issue since there would be enough time for Lien and the students to escape. As usual, Chun asked what they would do to destroy the base once they successfully infiltrated it. Everyone listened in silence. Chun then questioned whether killing the leader would truly solve the problem. Wouldn't someone else just take his place? He suggested that the only way to neutralize the threat was to eliminate everyone inside the base. Finally, Zhang Yi explained that he had a large stockpile of explosives that he had saved when Feng and his subordinates attempted to blow up his fortress some time ago. The supply had been replenished. Karen then described the effects of detonating 1,000 kilograms of explosives. They realized that the explosion would not only destroy the base's oxygen system but also make it difficult to breathe, potentially killing any survivors. Chun then asked how they could enter the base undetected. Zhang Yi instructed everyone to memorize the locations where they needed to plant the explosives and to escape immediately afterward. By wearing scientist lab coats, they would be sufficiently disguised. Zhang Yi emphasized the importance of placing the explosives in the right locations to ensure the base's destruction from within. He reminded everyone to move quickly, as the impact of a 1,000 kilograms explosion would be immense. Zhang Yi then explained their approach to the base and how they would execute the attack. Each team member had a specific role to play, but he stressed that their mission's success was not the top priority, their survival was. Inside the Profer Mountain base, Lien gathered his remaining students, preparing them to escape the next day. They all agreed to help and thanked their teacher for still remembering them. The next morning, Zhang Yi's team took time to recharge while discussing the final details of their plan. Zhang Yi ensured that Chun and Uncle Yu fully understood the assault strategy. He also reviewed the explosive placement locations and what they needed to do afterward. Always attentive, Zhang Yi even took the time to feed his loyal battle cat. He had already prepared a special strategy to deal with the 6 strongest mutant leaders. That night, the air was colder than usual. Uncle Yu, along with his beautiful wife, Zhang Yi, and the women of his group, as well as Chun, who was alone, prepared to carry out their mission. Ear had hoped to accompany Zhang Yi, but he asked her to stay behind so she wouldn't have to worry. They set off, driving a tactical vehicle through the snowstorm, remaining constantly alert. Upon nearing the target location, Zhang Yi administered adrenaline injections to prepare everyone for the mission ahead. He warned that the side effects would only be felt once they had completed the mission and returned home to their wives. They could already feel the power of the bioengineering enhancements coursing through their bodies. As they approached the base entrance, Zhang Yi could hardly wait to deliver his surprise attack. Meanwhile, Lien was gathering his students for their life-saving escape mission. One of the girls hesitated, questioning whether they were truly about to flee. A student who served a greedy woman reminded everyone to stay silent and follow Lien's orders without question. Lien observed carefully. Although he didn't know the exact details of the plan, he understood that now was the right time to wait for its execution. In his office, Chen Yuan was preparing to carry out his threat, ordering the launch of missiles at Zhang Yi's base. He knew it was a massive waste of resources, but unfortunately, it was necessary to maintain his authority. Feng entered the office, and Chen Yuan anticipated his reaction, saying that if the issue concerned Zhang Yi, the great leader had already devised a plan to eliminate that demon. Feng was shocked to hear that their leader had a solution to defeat Zhang Yi, who had remained undefeated even when they had sent large forces against him. Though Feng did not want to doubt his leader's words, he wondered how it was possible for him to have the power to defeat such a formidable opponent. Chen Yuan confidently explained that no mutant was truly invincible. Ultimately, humanity's greatest strength lay in the weapons they had created. He then revealed a map containing information on Zhang Yi's residence, which they had attempted to invade multiple times without success. He planned to turn the place to ashes using missiles. Feng admitted that their leader was highly intelligent, only he had the connections to execute such an operation. They were convinced that this time, Zhang Yi would finally die. The leader stated that they would witness Zhang Yi's defenses crumble together. The two of them waited for the massive explosion that would bring about the long-awaited revenge. After reviewing Zhang Yi's fortress layout, Feng remarked that destroying it with missiles was a waste of resources. Chen Yuan agreed but insisted that it was necessary. There would be no peace as long as someone like Zhang Yi still roamed free. The only problem was that after the destruction of the enemy, Chen Yuan was unsure whether the general supporting him now would still have a reason to need him in the future. At exactly midnight, Shinsin sat in front of his computer, preparing to execute the plan. Meanwhile, the great general from the neighboring city pressed the button to launch the rockets. The missile launch operation from the Zishan base had begun. As the missiles approached their target, the members of the surveillance and control department began to panic, saying they needed to immediately warn and evacuate the base. However, everything happened so quickly that there was no time to react. In a matter of seconds, what was once a peaceful place turned into a sea of fire. No one in the area had the chance to complain about the cold, snowy weather. At that moment, Zhang Yi was overjoyed and informed the hacker, Shinsin, that their plan had succeeded. Then, with just a single press of a button, the entire energy system of the base was shut down. This threw all the soldiers into a state of panic and fear, as none of them could understand what had caused the communication failure. The most terrified of all was Chen Yuan, who collapsed to the ground in fear, unsure of what to do. However, he soon received a call from the security department informing him that the base had been hit by a missile attack. Upon hearing this, he was filled with rage, believing he had been betrayed by the general who had supported him from the neighboring base. After briefly considering who might be responsible, he refocused his attention on restoring order to the base and attempting to regain control of all systems. He quickly got back on his feet and ordered Feng to gather all the super soldiers and initiate an operation to secure and protect the base. He explained that the most critical area to defend was the 4th floor, where the workers were located, as they might try to take advantage of the chaos to escape. Meanwhile, the guards at the southern entrance, still confused and unable to coordinate with headquarters, suddenly saw a vehicle speeding straight toward one of the base's entrances. These guards were merely ordinary soldiers with no supernatural abilities, making them easy targets. With little effort, the attackers overpowered the entrance, using their strength and weapons to eliminate all the guards and take control of the access point.